Moon Knight episode 4 review. I'm not going to rewatch it to pull out any of the specifics, guys. One viewing was enough. I really don't want to watch this episode again. It really wasn't that good. It was really underwhelming once again. I kept a tally just for fun on this one. In this episode of Moon Knight, we have 5 jokes at Mark's expense. We have 5 times Layla took the lead. We have 3 or 4 instances of awful dialogue that sounds like it was written probably by a 5th grader, but who knows. And we have Mark acting like a total vag at least twice. But there's just too much going on in the show that I don't like. For yet another Marvel show, it looks like we get a main character, the title character, that gets led around by a character in a supporting role. In this episode, Mark makes very little decisions on his own. He gets punked left, right, and sideways. He does nothing interesting at all at any junction in this episode that makes him inspiring, that makes him fun to watch, that makes him at all interesting. It's bizarre to me that they took a character whose foundational characteristics are he's a mercenary, he's a spy, he's devised all these personalities to infiltrate the different sections and levels of society that he needs to infiltrate in order to be effective, being like the avatar of justice. We don't get any more explanation into his background here. We get no explanation of his power set, how it works, what the limitations are, none of that. Absolutely nothing to go on. We get a little bit of info into Layla's backstory. We kind of knew it was going to come to this, that Mark Spector may have been around when her father that she's been grieving for murdered or disappeared, and Mark's former partner may have had something to do with that. The episode takes a really odd turn from its typical Disney Plus stuff where everything's kind of lighthearted, and you do get into a little bit more of the horror aspects of in this episode. We do get a lot of blood, we get blood smears, we get bloodied weapons. There's a really disturbing, I mean, it would have been disturbing in a good way in a horror movie, but we have some kind of entombing mummification scene is probably a better word for that, where some creature goes ahead and cuts into a carcass just outside of camera angle, of course, for Disney Plus. But nothing, we don't know why that happens. I think it's one of Harrow's guys that got it. He must have been the guy that got captured after Harrow bailed, but I don't know. We don't get enough information into that. They being Mark and Layla, they attempt to elude this creature. They hide in really stupid, obvious places, including, beneath the table that it's conducting its autopsy / mummification ritual on. So, I mean, you're smacking your head against the wall watching this show. Like, none of this makes any kind of logical sense. These characters wouldn't behave in these ways confronted with these situations. Like, no rational adult makes these kind of decisions, especially when the risk-reward benefit is so low. Like, there was no sense going back to this dig site, discovering it was abandoned, and then going down into the site. If there's nobody there, bail and come up with the second plan. Like, where Harrow's headquarters are. Go back there and see what's going on. We get this nonsensical scene where Harrow confronts Layla after Mark and her get separated, running away from the creature doing the mummification routine. Physics in this world don't exist. Like, he's talking to her in a cavern that has like a chasm beneath it. They're probably 30, 40, 50 feet apart from each other. She runs out of the room around like a stone corridor's corner, and he's talking to her at like a normal volume with no echo, like she could actually hear him at that distance, and they carry on a conversation at that range. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm watching this going, that this just isn't how like the actual world works. And the show has been rife with these kind of things all, like, from jump, but noticeably in the last 2 or 3 episodes it's gotten a little bit worse. I mean, particularly in episode 3, we had that, what everybody wanted from the show. They thought the action scene at the end where he enshrouds Layla in the Moon Knight cape to protect her from bullets, but then 4 seconds later he's getting run through by dudes with spears. Like, where's the consistency in this show? None of this makes any kind of sense, and I'm sick and tired of visuals being passed off and taking priority over, like, the craft of the storytelling or internal logic and consistency. Like, this isn't how good media is made, and it's starting to come apart at the seams a little. And then we come up on the last act of the 40 some odd minute episode. There's a little bit of a standoff between Harrow's men, Layla, who's hiding, and Mark. Mark winds up eating a bullet, in all hilariousness, because like he actually did throw a couple of good I think it was couple of axe slashes at some of Harrow's goons before Harrow popped him twice in the chest. He takes a hit, he hits the water beneath whatever monument they were standing in front of, and wakes up in what they want you to think is a psychiatric facility. First thing he does when he comes to is fall flat on his face again. That makes 3 times in this episode. This guy's eating the ground. Superhero material written all over him right there. I mean, I know my favorite part of all of the Batman media I've consumed in my life is watching Batman continually eat dirt, eat gravel, eat linoleum floor, eat ceramic tile. Yeah, the gag never gets old. Watching the hero make a fucking joke out of himself. Like, is this Moon Knight or is this Mr. fucking Bean? You tell me. But it's starting to get fucking obnoxious. Anyway, I digress. He gets into this conversation wherein he's the mental patient and Harrow's taken over the role as his bespectacled therapist, and they try to get to the nature of, you know, is this all really a dream, and couldn't this just be, you know, figmentations of various parts of your life run amok because you can't cope with things? And once again, he runs away from Harrow. Actually, he falls out of his chair, eats the ground again. So that's 4 times now. He crawls away, he smashes his way past a couple of the orderlies. He's running down a hall. You can tell it's kind of dream sequency thing. I mean, you know it is because he just got shot like 2 minutes ago. He's running down a hall. He pops into a side room or some bullshit. There's a sarcophagus in there. He opens the sarcophagus and what do you know? Other personality pops out. The two of them kind of hug for a second. They team up to run away. And then the strangest thing I've ever seen in this or any other Disney show to this point happens is they shift tones again. They're running out of the room. They're running out of a hallway. They're trying to make their escape. A big door gets thrown open and some Egyptian creature fashioned after like an anthropomorphized hippo shows up. They look at it. It looks at them. They look back at it. It raises its hand and wiggles its fingers and just says hi in like the highest pitched, like Dolores Umbridge voice you've ever heard. And they literally clutch at each other and scream like 2nd grade girls that are spooked by something. Like, this isn't just Stephen Grant being in over his head. This is like Mark fucking Spector is now creeped out by the giant hippo thing, even though he was the one throwing punches at the jackals and has already spent time being Khonshu's avatar. Like, the writers of this show can't keep shit on track. Like, they don't know who the character is. They don't know what they're going for. And it's for, even for a 6-episode series, I don't see how they could have gotten this much of it wrong. It's really disappointing. And as far as Marvel shows go, from the ones I've watched, I'd rank this right by the bottom. Like, this is worse. This has to be maybe even the worst one of the series of them so far. And I have to do a little bit of follow-up on Hawkeye because I didn't see that. But from what I've seen of the other ones, at least they stayed somewhat on target for the story they were trying to tell. I couldn't tell you anything about this show beyond the most superficial level, and that's disappointing because there was a lot of interesting source material that they could have worked with, and they've addressed none of it. And with only 2 episodes left, they're not going to be able to, they don't have time to give you anything interesting at this point, and that's really sad. I'll round out the rest of the show. There's only the 2 more, like I said. The runtimes seem to be decreasing as they go anyway, so it will be an easier view, I'm sure. It's just going to have a really disappointing finale, but I'll keep you guys posted on my thoughts. Please hit that like button. I'd like to get my sub count up a little bit as I go, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Comment below. Let me know what you like about this show. I'd be interested to hear it. I can't come up with a whole lot of positives except for the odd visual that comes up every now and then, but I'm no longer willing to write their canon for them or to sacrifice quality of storytelling for anything that I see on the screen. So hit me up below, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm going to wrap this one up and be up out of here, and I'll catch you guys in the next.